Martin Fouche, thank you for a $5 super chat. Any tips for dives close to objects like waterfalls? I tend to move away from the structure I'm diving, even at zero throttle. Okay, Martin, this is a great question. The reason that you move away from the object you're diving is that your idle speed is pulling you away. So you have an idle speed for your motors, and let's say it's 5.5%, which is the default value for beta flight. Well, even 5.5% throttle is enough thrust to push you away from whatever you're diving. So what do you do about it? One thing you can do about it is you can lower your idle speed. And if you use dynamic idle in Betaflight 4.3, that can help you keep a lower idle speed while not experiencing desyncs. You can, if you're using dynamic idle, you can push that idle speed much lower, like 2,000 RPM or maybe a little lower even than that, without getting desyncs. And that will help minimize that effect, but it'll still happen. So then what do you do? One thing you do is, as you're diving the object, I need a quad. So as you're diving the object, like your camera is looking straight down, okay? And your motors, look at your thrust vector, is pulling you away from the object. One thing you can do is you can pitch forward a little more. Now, you're not looking straight down at the object, right? Now the object, the building, is starting to fill your camera view more. But you can significantly minimize or reduce the amount of thrust pulling you away from the building as you go past 45 degrees. That angle will get significantly less, okay? So if you're diving and you have like 20 degrees of up tilt, raise your up tilt. Raise your up tilt to at least 35 or 40 or maybe even a little more. If all you're going to do is dive, raise your up tilt to 45 or 50 degrees. Now that's going to make the rest of your flying really weird, but it's going to optimize you for the dive. And then pitch forward into it a little bit. And the more you can pitch forward while still having an acceptable camera angle, the better you're going to do. Now here's another tip. Raise the up tilt of your HD cam while leaving your FPV up tilt the same. So you are looking at the side of the building, but your HD cam is looking straight down. And again, that's going to create problems when you're flying straight because your cam potentially is going to be looking up at the sky. So you need to be a little careful. Don't go crazy. Don't have your FPV cam at 30 degrees and your HD cam at 60 degrees. That's not going to work. But you could have your FPV cam at 35 degrees and your HD cam at 40 or 45 degrees, and that'll help you with that situation. At the end of the day, eventually you will have to rotate. On a long enough dive, eventually you will pull yourself away from the building. So what about if you, as you're diving, you maybe do like a roll or a pitch, a somersault, right? And then maybe try to get yourself pulled back in. Or you flip back around and pull yourself in and then flip back. That kind of thing. All right, so those are some thoughts about that. Thoughts about dives. Good conversation. Can you turn idle off with a switch, long dollar bill? Long dollar bill, you have to have the motors spinning to stabilize the quad.